First, thank you for coming out. We appreciate it. But we'd like to start with the Motzi. And Eli Lander, where are you, Eli?
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם המוציא לחם מן הארץ. Ladies and gentlemen, what? It's not on? Oh, no. Hi everyone, I hope you're having a great time enjoying hot dogs and, oh, we don't have hamburgers. Hot dogs, sandwiches, drinks, and wonderful companionship with our spouses, right? Okay. I'd like to introduce Dr. Janofsky. I think some of you remember her from last year. I could read her lengthy biography. I'll read part of it. She is a fellow at Rowan University, where I assume you teach?
Yep, history professor.
She's a history professor. She basically runs the Red Bank battlefield and is now in the middle of doing an exciting dig for more of those Hessian troop artifacts. And this is one of the more, I'd say, exciting battlefields we have, certainly in New Jersey and probably on
This is for the camera, so if you can stick it on.
Yeah.
And her, she's a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution, and was awarded by, I can't even read my own
Speak into the mic.
Yes, so, listen, she's a wonderful person.
That's great.
You're a wonderful person.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate that. So again, my name is Jen Janofsky. Can everybody hear me okay in the back? Excellent. Okay. So I'm a professor of history, specifically public history at Rowan University. You might be asking yourself, what is public history? Well, congratulations, we are all doing public history right now. Isn't that exciting? Yes. Red Bank Battlefield is my classroom. I teach in a traditional classroom at Rowan University. Today we're doing public archaeology at the monument area. We have several of our Rowan University students working archaeology, talking to the public about the importance of archaeology. And so I encourage you, when you're done, to come take a walk up, see what we're working on, talk to our students. We have artifacts out that you can take a look at. But I'm going to talk to you this morning about our Hessian Discovery Project from 2022. So just as a show of hands, how many of you are familiar with the Hessian Discovery Project? Some, not everybody. Okay, so what I could do is I can offer sort of a recap of the project, how it started, what we found, and what we are working on today. So at the northern end of the park's boundary in 2020, there was a small 1/4 acre lot adjacent to the battlefield that became available for sale. Literally, the only thing that separated the battlefield from this lot was a chain link fence. And for whatever reason, historically, that lot had not been incorporated into the park's boundaries. Gloucester County, we are a part of the Gloucester County Parks and Recreation System. Gloucester County purchased the lot. It came into the county's hands in 2022. Whenever we acquire a new property that has the potential for historical significance, we do an archaeological survey to evaluate what resources might be there. So in 2022, we created a public archaeology program, which is a little unusual. If you think about archaeology programs, how often do you see members of the public like yourselves working a screen or shoveling dirt or troweling a unit? It's pretty unusual. But as a public historian, we want to get people involved with history. We want to get them excited about history. There's nothing better or more electric than pulling an artifact out of your screen that hasn't been seen for 250 years. So we did an archaeology survey. 4 days of public participation. We had over 100 volunteers helping us screen, shovel, process artifacts. One of the more notable finds of the project, and actually I'm going to use my binder here.
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're totally fine.
Being bad or white, help her out.
No. He's fine. He's totally fine.
Yes, I can hold. Good at holding.
All right. Well, if you want, you could circulate with it. Let me find the image here. Hang on.
I'll hold.
Thank you very much. All right, so one of the more remarkable finds of the project was a British gold coin that a volunteer found. It came up through their screen. Here we go. Thank you, sir. And I can show you a beautiful 1766 British gold guinea coin. Just found by itself. No other artifacts in association with it. Came out of the ground, beautiful, pristine. That's King George there. And so that was an amazing find. Okay, thank you. And so on the last day of the project, we were so pleased. We had a great public response to the project. Everybody was excited by the finding of the gold coin. For certain, that was going to be a story in the local newspaper, if not the Philadelphia Inquirer. And on the last day of the project, our archaeologist, Wade Katz, who's up there today working, kept teasing us, saying the best archaeology finds are found on the last day at the last hour. And literally, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, one of our volunteers, Wayne Wilson, was working one of the units, and he came up to Wade and I and discreetly said, "I think I found a bone." I can honestly say I still distinctly remember that moment, 100%. I distinctly remember the feeling in my gut that said, "Oh no, what is happening here?" And so initially it looked like to be one leg bone, a femur. That put into sequence a whole series of confusing events. So what do you do when you're a Revolutionary War battlefield park that's run by Gloucester County in the state of New Jersey? So who do you call in this situation? So we called the medical examiner's office, and they dispatched West Deptford police to come take a look and see if it was a crime scene, because literally we had no idea. It's just one bone. So the police came and they said it's not a modern crime scene. It could be a historic crime scene, but it wasn't anything they were interested in exploring. So eventually we got connected to the New Jersey State Police, and we spoke to their forensic anthropologist. And she said, "Do you think it looks like human or animal?" And Wade and I looked at each other like, I don't know. Like, it could be a deer bone, it could be a human bone, we don't know. So she came out that Tuesday to come take a look, and as she was looking at the one bone, she said, yes, it is human, and she also said, using her hands and her trowel, she said, you have a lot more here. And so initially we had no idea who this persons was. If you take a look around you, this park has been here for over 250 years. It was also an active site of indigenous occupation. It could have been a member of the Whitehall family. It could have been Lenape. It could have been a family burial that we had no idea who we had. So we began the process of removing the remains to try and determine who these individuals were. And in the process of doing the archaeology and the forensic anthropology, the archaeological context became very clear that we were dealing with Hessian soldiers who had fought at the Battle of Red Bank in October of 1777. And the way that we know that, and I can show you some images when we're done, it's just easier to look at this when I'm done. We were finding American musket balls in association with the human remains. And so American musket balls are smaller than Hessian balls. They're a distinct shape, size, and weight. We're also recovering button after button after button. Buttons are a great archaeological identifier. American buttons, if they were the Rhode Island Regiment, and you should note that 14 members of the Rhode Island Regiment died defending Fort Mercer, would have had an anchor on it. No anchors. These are plain-faced buttons. These are definitely Hessian buttons. So from June 26th until August 2nd, we spent the entire summer removing the remains from the unit. It was slow work. It was hard work, both physically and emotionally. None of us on our team, except for Anna, who routinely works on human remains, had worked with human remains in this capacity before. And so certainly an emotional moment for many members of our team as we were removing individuals. One of the reasons why it took so long to remove everybody was because the remains are not in very good condition. The bone is very soft, it's very brittle, it had gotten wet over the years, and so there's a fair amount of decay in the bones. So when we're removing them, we took the entire soil matrix with it. So basically you would build out around the remains, lift the whole, whether it was a mandible or a cranium, we would lift that, and then it would be cleaned in the lab. And so what we had at the end of the project were what we thought to be at that time 13 individuals. And that is based on mandibles and cranium and femurs. So none of the remains that we recovered were complete individuals. So basically what we had was battlefield gore, just pieces of people killed at the Battle of Red Bank and unceremoniously dumped in a trench the day after the battle. And so I can show you some images if you feel comfortable looking at them of what that process looked like and sort of the density of individuals that we recovered. So I'll do some questions at the end. So what happened next was the remains went to the New Jersey State Police Forensic Anthropology Lab. They are undergoing a forensic analysis. We are doing our best to squeeze these remains for who these individuals were. And we do that scientifically and we do that historically. So today, the Red Bank Archaeology Project team includes myself. I'm the public historian. Perhaps you've seen, I'm doing it now, we're doing public history. I'm all over South Jersey offering these presentations with Wade Katz to tell people the story of this project, the remarkable story of this project. Wade Katz is our archaeologist. He's 40 years of battlefield archaeology experience. If you pull an artifact out of a screen, he could tell you in a heartbeat what exactly that little piece is, which is remarkable to me, because I thought it was a rock. So we have Anna Delaney of the New Jersey State Police. We also have Dr. Stuart Alexander, who's a forensic dentist who's been working on the teeth of our individuals. As you probably know, teeth are also an indicator of age, and so I would say the average age is between 35 and 45 years old. These were not young men, but they also weren't old men. We have Dr. Tom Christ, who's a bioarchaeologist. Tom spent many years as an archaeologist and also a medical examiner, and so I've been getting a crash course in science and how we can understand history through science. We also have Dr. Robert Seelig. He's our project historian. He himself is German. He's also retired military from Germany. He's an excellent military historian, and he is on the hunt in Germany in the Marburg archives to try and find who these individuals were. So since the project, I think I may have just lost my audio. Can you guys still hear me okay? Okay. That's right. I can be loud too. I'm a professor, so I could certainly talk. All right, I could move around too. So since the remains have been in the lab, we did one round of DNA analysis, and we did not get much information out of that round of testing. We had sent out a series of teeth to a commercial lab to see if we could determine anything about these individuals. The only thing that came back was that they were men. So that's good news, because if they were women, we'd have to completely rethink our project. So, but that's the only determinant that we got. We recently added a new member to our team, which is very exciting, Dr. Raquel Flesquez, who is a forensic anthropologist, but she specializes in ancient DNA. It's not ancient like Greece and Rome, but like ancient North American DNA. And she has worked extensively with colonial Williamsburg and historic Jamestown, and has had luck analyzing the petrous bone in your head for DNA. So if you just tap the bone behind your ear, it's solid, right? It's super dense bone, yeah. And apparently that holds the potential for DNA information. So beginning in August, we're gonna send off some samples to Dr. Flesquez at Dartmouth. She's gonna see what she can do with that DNA. The last time we were working with a commercial lab, this time we're working with an academic who has more time and more resources to spend on this, so we're hopeful that we could potentially get something. In the meantime, we received a major gift through Rowan University of $20,000 to support more scientific analysis, which is remarkable. One of the things about this project that keeps me up at night is finding funding for it. How can we keep this project moving forward? All these things that we do are not free. So we're also hoping to do stable isotope analysis of the other teeth that we have. So everything that you eat and drink as a child geographically imprints on your teeth. So if somebody dug me up 250 years from now, they would say this person was born and raised in Fox Chase, Philadelphia, based on the the Wooder, I should say, as a Philadelphian, Wooder is the proper pronunciation, the Wooder and the soft pretzels that I ate as a child, right? So we are going to try and do this with the Hessian remains to try and figure out what region of Germany these individuals were from. Because if we can narrow down that geography, maybe we can identify who that person was. The end goal of the whole project is to ultimately try and identify at least one individual. And so if we could just one, that would be a remarkable, remarkable find. People frequently ask us, is there a chance that we could connect in Germany with a modern day descendant, because so many of these DNA projects are? That is a possibility, but we have major hurdles to clear before that's a possibility. And in terms of the future of the project, once the analysis is complete, we hope to reinter those individuals where they were found at the northern end of the park, and create a memorialized space, create an interpretive space with signage so you can learn more about the Hessian participation at the Battle of Red Bank. And ultimately, this is challenging us as a park to reconsider the story that we tell about the Revolutionary War. So if you visit Gettysburg, for example, you have the expectation that you're going to talk about the violence of a Civil War battlefield. When you visit American Revolutionary War battlefields, that's not really the experience. It's a little romanticized, a little sanitized. We don't talk about the violence and the absolute horror of a Revolutionary War battlefield. You could not have spent an entire summer, as we did, looking at these individuals, thinking about these individuals, and thinking about their fate. And there has to be a way that we can communicate this with our park visitors. And so that is the ongoing mission of the project. I would encourage you, when you're finished, to go take a tour at the James and Ann Whitehall House. The tours are on the hour and the half hour. We have a new exhibit that actually features material from the 2022 Hessian project, buttons that we recovered, gun flints, a facial reconstruction, which I can also share with you today. And ultimately, the project, multi-year project, sponsored by both Gloucester County and Rowan University. What an amazing experience it has been. We've connected with people in Germany. People have emailed us to let us know that they're descended from Hessians. Do we want a DNA sample? We keep track of these people because we might at some point. And we actually last summer had a young German family descended from a Hessian soldier, not here, but fought in the Revolution. And they had been so moved by the project that when they came to the States for vacation, they put Red Bank Battlefield on their list of places to come visit. They left a flag, and they also left a memory stone saying rest in peace. And so I think one of the more powerful aspects of this project is how it connects with people in South Jersey, in California, in Germany, in England, in France. And this is an internationally popular project that just really continues to make amazing, amazing connections with everybody. So as I said, the Whitehall House is open for tours. We are also doing ongoing archaeology. They're at lunch right now. They'll be at lunch until 1 o'clock, but you are still welcome to come up and take a look at everything that we're working on. We have the public participating, working their screens, again, finding lots of Native American material, which is very interesting, and some Revolutionary War material too. So archaeology is incredibly important to what we do at the park. It's not just about finding things. Finding things is so cool. It's super fun to find old things, right? But it's also about park preservation. The better we understand the footprint of the battle in the park, the better we can actively preserve, interpret it, and steward it for the next generation of park visitors. So I'm happy to walk around, or if you want to come up, I have images in my binder here that I can show you from the project. Just as a warning, there are images of human remains. If you're uncomfortable with that, I can show you other images. It's totally fine. But I can at least give you a sense of some of the material that we found, and I can also share with you the facial reconstruction of one of the individuals that we recovered. Do you guys have any questions?
So you talked about funding being a challenge. Do you have a GoFundMe or a way that folks can donate if they wanted to?
Through Rowan University. We have recently created a nonprofit.
Is there a website?
Not yet, no. But if you contact me, we can connect you with that. So Rowan, interestingly, shopped our project around to see if anybody would bite, a funder. And since we got one, now we're in a position to accept more. So you can always find me through Rowan University's History Department. Yeah.
Jen, I was wondering what percentage of the troops were British versus Hessians?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Sure. What percentage were British troops and Hessian troops? And so I can't give you the specific number of percentages, but there were 30,000 Hessian soldiers who fought on behalf of the British Crown in the Revolution. The reason why the Hessians are here is because they're auxiliary troops. The British didn't have enough manpower. And it should be noted that the Hessians traveled around the world in the 18th century fighting for all kinds of crowns. That's what they did. They were a professional fighting force, which really makes the victory of the Americans here remarkable. This is a remarkable upset victory in the Revolution. This is the Hessians' worst day in battle for the Revolution. The Mirbach Regiment, we think we have members of the Mirbach Regiment. That's who we think our guys are. The Mirbach Regiment never fought in another battle after this battle because they had lost so many people. They couldn't put together a regiment. Yeah, so devastating. Yes?
Was that the first city troop?
Here?
You know, George Washington had the first city troop in Philadelphia, and that was part of the 20th National Guard Division eventually. But they fought, I think, in Red Bank.
No, so this was the Rhode Island Regiment, the New Jersey Militia, and maybe the Virginia Militia also made it here in time. Yeah, so this was exclusively Rhode Islanders, and what makes that regiment so interesting is it's an integrated fighting force of African Americans, Native Americans, and white soldiers fighting side by side together here at Red Bank. After Red Bank, they go to Valley Forge, and the Rhode Island Regiment becomes the Black Regiment. It becomes the segregated Black Regiment where it's not integrated anymore. But here, in this specific moment in time, Colonel Christopher Green is commanding a fully integrated unit with a major upset. It's remarkable. Did you have a question?
Just wanted to know, did the Americans ultimately lose control over?
They did, yeah. So ultimately, yes. So the question was, did the Americans ultimately lose control, I guess you would say, of the Delaware River, of Philadelphia? Philadelphia falls to the British in September of 1777. One of the major problems they have, once they have the capital, they think everybody's going to surrender because that's the way war worked in the 18th century. If you seize the capital, you lost the war, except they were shocked and stunned that the Americans are still fighting more tenaciously than ever before. The Philadelphia was not accessible via the Delaware River because the Americans had sunk river obstructions called chevaux de frise, basically giant sharpened spears underneath the Delaware River that, if protruding, would pierce the hull of a British ship. We actually have them on display in this red shed structure, which everybody walks past it. We need better signage. But if you peer in there, you can see it's because it was pulled from the river, it has to be kept dark, low humidity, this type of thing. So the British were completely frustrated. They didn't have access to the river. 3 river fortifications, Mercer here, Mifflin directly across from us, Billingsport to the south, preventing the British from accessing Philadelphia by the river, which is why in October 1777 they send the Hessian troops by land to attack Fort Mercer to gain access to the river. So Red Bank, we win here. And I was just joking, I have a friend from Brandywine Battlefield here today, and she says, we should talk more about Brandywine. I said, why? You lost. Like, let's talk about a victory. We won. But ultimately, yeah, the Americans fall in the Philadelphia campaign, but it delays the progress of the British, and it gives the British a sense that this is going to be one heck of a long slog to defeat the Americans. Other questions?
Jen,
Yes.
do we know specifically to Red Bank how many Hessians came versus how many left?
Yeah, that's a good question. So overall, there are around, and these numbers vary. One of the things that our project historian has been discovering is like the number of dead and injured vary according to account, largely because of the confusion following the battle. People are dying here in the moment on the battlefield. They're dying in retreat. They're dying in Philadelphia. They're dying long after the Battle of Red Bank. So it's a little bit tricky. The overall fighting force of the Hessians was 2,000, but about 800 were held in reserve and never got into the battle. The battle's over quickly, 40 minutes. And so the attacking Hessian force is around 1,200. The figure that most historians agree on, give or take, is 300 dead or injured. It was a massive loss. The White House becomes the field hospital. filled with all the horrors of a Revolutionary War field hospital. I should note that 14 Rhode Islanders lost their lives that day, 23 injured, but certainly in terms of the loss, the Hessians bore a very heavy loss. There's a wonderful quote from Captain Johann Ewald long after the Battle of Red Bank. He's a Hessian officer. And he writes, "Never have I left a battlefield in such sorrow." And he notes how many friends that he lost that day. And it's this truly tragic humanitarian situation that happened here. Keeping in mind, the Hessians had no beef with the United States. You know, they're auxiliary troops. It's what they did professionally for a living. Some of them are very funny in how they call the Americans out. "You've got it so great here. Like, we've been around the world, and let me tell you, you guys have it pretty good. We don't get what you're fighting about." But at the end of the day, England signed their paycheck, and for some of them, they never made it back.
Question.
Yes?
Is it unusual to have a memorial to, like, the enemy?
That's a really good question. So it's a really, like, in my classroom, yeah, so the question is it unusual to have a memorial to the enemy? So, unlike the Civil War, and with the Confederate monuments that are coming down, obviously in the South, you know, they're everywhere, and even in you know, the North, there's still monuments to the Confederacy. For a Revolutionary War battlefield, yeah, it is a little unusual. But one of the things that we want people to think about is the complexity of war and the loss of human life. And so far, I would say the vast majority of people are extremely supportive of having a memorialized space. We recently did look for the American Patriot burial, so that is on our radar. We are always on the lookout for it, and certainly if we found that, that would also be worthy of a memorial. Yes?
There are so many movies and books about Gettysburg. Were there any books or movies about this battle between here and Philadelphia?
That's such a good question. Are there any books or movies about the Philadelphia campaign? Not that I'm aware of. And it is one heck of a story, especially to me, the Rhode Island Regiment and Christopher Green and that integrated fighting unit. That is a really unique moment in history, and the upset victory as well. So if anybody knows a movie maker, we would be happy to work with them on that. Any other questions? So I'm here all afternoon. I've got one more? Yeah.
I understand the Hessians like the United States so much that a lot of them stayed. Is that a true story?
Yes, 100%. In fact, the Americans were encouraging the Hessians to stay. They were giving them land grants in western Pennsylvania, what was western Pennsylvania now today, Harrisburg area. Many of them did stay on in the United States. There's a wonderful book by Frederica Baer called Hessians, and it's a big book, but don't be intimidated by it because it reads really nice. It's just a nice narrative history of the Hessian experience. Yes?
I had a colleague who said she was a Jackson White. She said it was a black community that had married Hessians in North Jersey. Can you say anything about that?
So a Jackson White.
Yeah, that's what she called herself, a Jackson White.
No, I don't know anything, except that the Hessians were all over. They had a heavy presence in New York City, so maybe there was a connection there. Most of the Hessians who stayed were here for the farmland. You know, it was the best poor man's country. It was very, you know, farmable land, and they headed more west than stayed where they were. Yeah, sorry. And there was one more. Yes?
You know, I think the Hessians were on Tabor Road in Northeast Philadelphia. That's where they started. The German community up there, Germantown.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so yes, observation about Germantown. Interestingly, so Germantown is an extremely old portion of Philadelphia. The Hessian soldiers who visit Germantown can't process this. They're like, they don't look like us. They don't talk like us. They're uncouth. They're uncivilized. Yeah. Very different sort of like, they don't look like us Germans, right?
Not Eagles fans.
No, right? Fly, yes, right here, and then you.
Are the Hessians a unified group of Germans? Were there any Jewish Hessians, for instance?
Oh gosh, that's a really good question.
One of the reasons I'm asking is you were talking about the Murbach Brigade.
Yeah.
My grandmother is deep in Murdoch.
Oh, how interesting. Well, let's get a DNA swab while you're here. That's a good question. Were there any Jewish individuals in the Hessian army? I would imagine, I think I lost the mic again. I would imagine, yes, there were, because they traveled everywhere and they pick up people along the way. They pick up folks in Asia. I mean, I would not be surprised if there were. Friederike Baer would definitely, her book, be the source to consult for that. But Mirbach, they're named after their officers. And so Officer Mirbach, perhaps he was Jewish. I don't know. It's a great question. Yeah, interesting. Other questions? Anybody else? Oh yeah.
Out of curiosity, you said this property where you found the Hessians was obtained in 2020. Is there other properties available?
This is it. This is it. That's an Army Corps of Engineers site over here. It's all dredge material. It has to be abated, so we're not adding that to the park. But this is it. We can't go any further. Unfortunately, yeah, would love to, yeah. So
where is this area around here that you found?
Just go up the drive. If you go up towards the monument area, up that drive, I can point you in the right direction. So it's at the far end of the park.
Is it anything identifying?
It's not marked, but at 2:30, I'm actually going to be giving a tour. So if you want to come up and check it out, certainly walk you out there. Okay, you're welcome. All right, so if anybody would like to check out some images, I'm happy to share. Here's our, of the Philadelphia campaign? But of the Philadelphia camp, I think that was the question, yeah. So if you're curious, here's our individual.
Who's this?
This is one of the individuals we recovered. It's a facial reconstruction. Yep, yeah, so.
Did they find all they found the buttons?
These are our buttons.
Okay, this is something we could have done before, but it's better late than never. Welcome to this picnic. And this is a picnic that is, I think it's the 4th time here, and we've done it all together probably a dozen times. Good thing I got a hard head. For those of you that are unaware of it, the South Jersey Men's Club is an interesting group because we're like a synagogue men's club without a synagogue. We originally started as the men's club of Beth Jacob, Beth Israel, that folded almost 35 years ago. So this is our 34th anniversary. And next year we may have a celebration of our 35th anniversary. We're not a standalone. We're part of the International Federation of Jewish Men's Clubs. And we're part of the Middle Atlantic region of that group. And we do so much that we actually at one time won the International Award for the Best Men's Club. Some other information about us is that we have quite a few guys that are members of synagogues and quite a few guys that are not members of synagogues.
Is there any?
Bob. Another thing would be the fact that we have...
Thank you.
We also have, let me see here. We have started some extra things that keep going. For instance, a Jewish athletic group. You may have heard of different men's clubs that participate in softball, basketball, bowling. That was us. Another thing is we are well known for our community action. A tremendous number of people in our men's club are guys who, they were on boards of directors. They had their own business. They were educators, all kinds of things. And then they finally retired. Okay, you travel, you golf. Sooner or later, you want to do something. So instead of devoting yourself to making money, you want to make a difference. And we have many opportunities to make a difference and volunteer. And we have, I believe, at the front that actually the next president of the Men's Club has up front here a list of roughly 50 things that people can do to volunteer. We also do quite a bit with donations, not money. We donate books at every meeting. We donate eyeglasses at every meeting. And we donate food and other type of things, toiletries, for instance, for the Jewish Federation pantry. And we have a video library of hundreds of videos of our speakers, and and pictures of things that we do. Pictures of you here today will be online. The next thing is that we've done something rather unique in the United States. We have a very large law enforcement appreciation breakfast that we've been doing since 1996. Now, who's there? We have the local police, we have the state police, we have the FBI, and on and on and on. And what it does is it enhances communication, and guess what? The Jewish community is not just another minority because we develop relationships. Let's see. We also do quite a bit of things together, like today. And for some of the activities that we do besides the just men's club things, by the way, we really aren't just a breakfast club, are we? Are we? No, not at all. So I'd like to turn it over now to another past president, and that is Rich Moskowitz. Rich?
And I have just a short list of the many, many, many things that the South Jersey Men's Club provides. First, one of the things I'm proud of is the yellow candles, the yellow Yortzeit candles for Yom HaShoah commemoration. We have given out literally thousands and thousands of candles through the years. And all the donations that we receive go straight to the Esther Rapp Goodwin Holocaust Education Center. So we've given them just the support and money support as well. We support the Jewish Family and Children's Services Food Bank Pantry. We stock shelves, we assemble the food bags, and we make deliveries and transportation for the clients. And along with the Jewish war veterans, we flag veterans' graves and replacing broken markers. 9/11, we place flags around the perimeter of the JCC property. And in Lionsgate, we have lunches with speakers from the South Jersey Men's Club, organized by Dave Schwartz. I don't know if Dave's here. There he is. Thank you, Dave. Shout out to you. We also have Israel-related activities. We've purchased requested items for the Israel Defense Forces: tourniquets, bulletproof vests, headlamps, multi-tools. Plus, we bring items to distribution center to Israel. And I think, where's Eli? Eli. And he helped coordinate that too on the last trip. Thank you. And shout out to the IDF yesterday for four more. We have volunteers for Israel, Sarel, and hopefully we'll have a trip coming up one of these days. I haven't been on one. I want to go on one. We've also had a virtual live tour of Jerusalem, which was fun. Activities with significant others, wives, girlfriends, significant others. We had a couples trip to Israel. We have coping with Christmas. We have a Hometz Hoedown, which is the first meal after Passover. And we have trips and cruises with the spouses, such as the Jewish Museum, Maurice River, and Science History Museum. We've had a private tour. So that's just some of the things that we do, and we're just not a breakfast club. I'm very proud to be a past president of SJMC. Okay, thank you.